Have your parents or grandparents ever told you about their childhood and left you with the feeling that the world they grew up in is completely different from the one that you've experienced? Maybe your grandmother talks about having to walk to a neighbor's house just to make a phone call. Or your grandfather describes a time when finding information meant a trip to the library. When you hear these stories, it's almost like they're describing life on another planet, isn't it? Now imagine you're living in France in the 1840s, and the changes happening around you are even more dramatic. Your great-grandfather was a farmer who never traveled more than 20 miles from where he was born. But now there are steam trains carrying people hundreds of miles in a single day. Factories are springing up everywhere, turning out goods faster than anyone thought possible. Scientists are discovering things about electricity, chemistry, and the human body that seem almost magical. If you were witnessing all this, you might start to wonder, are we living through the most important moment in human history? Are we finally figuring out how the world really works? That's exactly what Auguste Comte thought. He looked around at all this change and concluded that humanity had been steadily climbing a ladder of progress, and we were finally reaching the top rung. Here's how Comte saw it. Throughout history, humans have tried to explain the world in 3 different ways. First, we blamed everything on gods and spirits. Thunder was Zeus being angry. Disease was divine punishment. That sort of thing. Then, we got a bit more sophisticated and created abstract theories. Maybe there's some invisible life force that makes things grow. Or maybe everything is made of tiny particles we can't see. But now, Comte argued, we were entering the final stage, the age of science. Instead of guessing or theorizing, we could actually observe, measure, and test. We could figure out the real rules that govern everything from falling rocks to human behavior. Think about how this played out in Comte's lifetime. When people got sick, doctors had been using bloodletting and prayer for centuries. But now, they were starting to understand germs and antiseptics, and people were actually getting better as a result. When crops failed, farmers had once assumed it was God's will. Now they were learning about soil chemistry and crop rotation, and harvests were improving. For Comte, this wasn't just about better medicine or farming. He believed we could apply the same scientific approach to society itself. Just like Newton had discovered the laws of physics, Comte thought we could discover the laws of human behavior and social organization. He even coined a new word for the science of society: sociology. The promise was intoxicating. If we could understand society scientifically, we could engineer better societies. Poverty, crime, war, these wouldn't be permanent features of human life. They would instead just be problems we hadn't solved yet, like diseases we hadn't cured yet. And here's the key point. Technology was both the proof and the tool of this progress. Every new technological invention showed that human reason could master the natural world, while also giving us better ways to organize society. The telegraph, for example, didn't just let people communicate faster. It demonstrated that human ingenuity could shrink distance itself. Now you might be thinking, okay, but what does this 19th century French guy have to do with me? Here's the thing. Comte's ideas didn't stay in the 1800s. They're all around you today. When a tech company promises that their new app will solve loneliness by connecting you with like-minded people, that's Comte's logic. When politicians argue that big data and algorithms can eliminate bias in hiring or policing, that's positivism at work. When your university talks about optimizing student outcomes through learning analytics, you're seeing Comte's dream of applying scientific methods to human problems. Even the way we talk about social issues often assumes that Comte was right. We call problems like homelessness or addiction challenges that need solutions, as if they're essentially technical puzzles waiting for the right innovation to crack them. But as we learn more, this faith in technological progress raises some profound questions. Are human beings really just more complex machines that can be optimized? Can scientific methods capture everything that matters about human experience? And what happens when our most sophisticated tools are wielded by people who are still capable of the same pride, selfishness, and short-sightedness that have always plagued human societies? Understanding Comte helps us recognize these assumptions in our own time so we can think more clearly about what technology can do and can't do, and what we really mean when we talk about human progress.